Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to North America Show. Host Rob Noor. Was going to be done streaming tonight, but someone saw some of the videos I've been doing here, talking about sort of Destiny orbiters and some of the stuff going around it. One of the people involved tangentially is Jstlk. He's been mentioned in some of the comments that Destiny's made since this has came out. He's good friends with Cherry, one of the people that's alleging wrongdoing on the part of Destiny, and he asked if I would want to talk to him this evening, and I said, why not? I have a little free time. Now, having said that, do I have free time? I got a lot of garbage my wife needs me to take out, so this is a happy excuse to... We're doing like some early spring cleaning. We were both so sick around Christmas time that we had a lot of Christmas, just boxes and things of that nature that need to go out to the dumpster, be broken down, go out to the dumpster. So we've been doing a lot of that fun, great stuff. So anyways, I agreed to come on and talk to Jstlk. I wasn't sure if I wanted to stream this or just talk to Jstlk on his channel, but I figure, what the hey, we might as well try to talk to him. Now, I'm not quite sure how to approach or how to get on his live. If he wants me to just hop on or if he wants to wait and we shall see, because it looks like he's talking to someone else right now. Kelly Jean. Not sure I know who that is. And I don't really have an agenda for anything like this. We'll just see where the conversation takes us. Freedom Flannel, what a name. I did lie. I said I wouldn't be back tonight, and here I am. I don't know how long this stream will go, though. We also, I'm having a very good day in my home life. My son Hank, he has his own room, but he never uses it. And we finally got like some things, like a new toy chest for him. We rearranged his room, and he's super excited about it. And it's like his space. So this is the first day. He like shut the door to his room. It's right adjacent to the living room. And you could hear him in there like singing and playing with his own toys. He got some new like Spider-Man, Venom, and monster trucks. So he's playing with that stuff. It was pretty cool listening to the guy. I was having a good time with it. All right. We're ready to go. So we'll see where this takes us.
Oofy Slaughter, thank you for the 8 months. Rob Noor, how's it going?
It's going. How are you doing?
Pretty good. We just watched Destiny's podcast co-host come out and make a couple statements.
Yeah, I missed it. I don't know
none
much.
of them
I've never interacted with
amazing.
Dan. I've seen a couple of little things he said, but I didn't see his statement here this evening or anything.
Okay, he's made like a couple statements here. I can't go through them. We watched it live, so it's hard to catalog them because I couldn't pause. So we were just about to go back through the VOD live, or sorry, with rewind and stuff.
Okay.
Oh, fix Rob Mike. Hold on. You might be a little bit quiet. Give me a second.
It's because we're not debating, so I'm not screaming. So I'm sure the last time I was on here, I was yelling about something. So.
Yeah, you and Pisco both. Okay. Yeah, how's it going? We can talk about the dance stuff, or we can talk about whatever. I don't know if you've talked to many people about the overall situation. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind, I'll give my angle on this, if that's okay. I think that Destiny, I have a relationship with Destiny. I'm blacklisted from his channel, but he's never done anything to me. It's just purely what I would consider above board stuff, like politics arguments. He's upset because I used AR or whatever. That don't bother me at all. That's different than conversations about people's marriage and stuff. That to me is usually stuff that, I think's out of bounds. But if you're going to broach that stuff, like you're going to do red pill stuff and you're going to talk about relationship, then
One second. Just red pill stuff. Like if you're gonna you're talking about like basically his words not meeting up with his actions. But people think you might have the wrong mic selected in Discord right now.
Oh, that might be. One sec.
You might be in the webcam mic or something. Yeah. I have to reconnect my headphones, but I'll probably go pretty fast here.
Let me check for you. Oh, they were right. How's that? That should be better. Check, check, check. Let me know. All right, let me know. I don't know if people could hear me at all now. Anyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Jstlk. How's it going, Kelly?
I'm all right.
Disconnected.
Your audio is better now.
Good. Okay, we're better now?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So, basically, yeah, that's...
Hold on. No, this stream just died. The stream just blew up.
Okay, no problem.
My bad.
What? What did you do?
Hold on. The stream died. We're coming back. Give me 2 seconds, guys. We should be back live
Streamer.
pretty quickly. Well, my OBS crashed. That's my bad.
Ooh.
We're back here. I think we're live again, but we might
Earlier
want to just
tonight,
chill for
but
2
okay.
seconds to let people get back on the stream.
Sure.
Sometimes Kick doesn't automatically reconnect. It's kind of annoying.
I don't think your overlay is working, by the way.
My
It's like
overlay
a
is not working.
strange mountain.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Thing.
Give me a
Whatever the fuck
second.
that is.
Yeah. I'll fix it up. Okay. All right. Maybe you want to start from the top, Rob. Give your overall take here.
Sure. So I was just saying, like, I don't weigh in on this stuff often. I am making the point there briefly that, if you're someone like Destiny, or I've streamed with like Andrew Wilson, these are people that talk about relationships and stuff. So you have to expect that this will be broached. I've never done any of that with Destiny. My only take when the initial leaks came out was I felt terrible for him. Everyone in the right-wing sphere expected someone like me to be like, aha, Destiny was performing oral sex on some dude, make fun of him. But I actually was like, no, I think this sucks. I don't think that's cool at all. Like, these people have families, everyone in these leaks. Now, the only one I knew was Destiny, and I'll be honest, I didn't seek out the videos or anything like that. So I didn't know who these other people were. I've never met Pixie. I didn't know any of these other people. So my take was just, I feel terrible for Destiny. And so obviously I feel obligated when the story breaks that, well, wait a minute, maybe he's culpable in that he, without consent, gave a video to other people. I felt that it was worth commenting on, like, listen, this is terrible. That's despicable. And, what does this mean? The other thing is, even though I don't deal with Destiny much anymore because I'm blacklisted, like it or not, a lot of the debate sphere online goes through Destiny, whether it be him as an individual or orbiters of his. And so there are a lot of people surrounding Destiny that I deal with. And I think that everyone needs to ask themselves, what level of perceived immorality is too far before you want to work with someone or watch someone. If you're a member of someone, if you're a member of my audience, you might think Rob's a crappy person because of this. But if I do something so heinous, you might say, yeah, I'm not going to watch him anymore. So I just had questions. I know I'm not going to chance to talk to Destiny, but I had questions of sort of the people that work with Destiny or the orbiters of Destiny. What did they know? When did they know it? And that's all I have not been trying to bury anyone. Many of these orbiters I really like Pisco, I like Connor, and I've listened to various statements, and honestly, some of the statements raise more questions than they provide answers. And so that's, last night I watched Connor and Brianna Wu's sort of commentary on this, and I thought it was terrible. I thought that it just seemed like sweeping up for Destiny. It basically takes them an hour and a half before they get to the meat and potatoes. And meanwhile, it seems like there's a lot of anger and vitriol being directed to people, rightly or wrongly, that are talking about this story. And for me, if you really care about the victims, it seems, there's a place. I think that some of the things that's alleged by some of the people that broke this story, like President Sunday, sound pretty crappy. But clearly, if you really want to talk about who's at fault, you're talking about Destiny. And it seems like, they were reticent to make that a big deal. So that's sort of where I've been.
Yeah.
Awesome. I didn't want to cut you off in the middle of that, but give me 2 seconds. I have to reconnect to the channel because my stream overlay. I think that should fix it, right? Did that actually not fix it?
What is the spinning mountain thing?
That's just the overlay, what it looks like when it's not picking up.
The fuck?
That's so weird that it's just not working at all. Well,
You might have to.
It
like,
will come back
quit
eventually.
Discord properly, and then like.
Yeah, give me a second. You know what? I'll do that. Just give me 2 seconds because I want this working for this conversation.
No problem.
You try turning it on and off again.
I have not. Hold on. Okay, it's literally. Oh my god, this is like a Windows thing for me. Here, hold on.
Excuse me. I've had this nagging
bless you.
cough. I can't get rid of this cough. It's terrible.
Jesus. Well, no, my overlay is just gonna apparently stay broken. So cool.
Someone's got a smoke detector that needs a battery.
That's no, that's when I join a thing.
The spinning
Oh.
mountain went away. Something fixed.
Yeah, because I minimized it.
I got you.
No, I minimized it. The spinning mountain is just when it's like not getting data correctly. It does some stuff.
Well, fuck.
It's fine.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. That like, so you were probably unaware when this happened. Had you, by the way, in right-wing spheres, like you were friends with Andrew Wilson. Did you have no idea? Like Andrew Wilson talked about this the second it happened. Could you maybe tell me a little bit about why? Like maybe you didn't reach out to him when he was like, "Oh no, Pixie, ew." He tweeted that like when these leaks happened. Could you tell me like what you thought about it, what you'd heard about it?
Yes,
I'm curious what people who weren't in the know. Go ahead.
I almost never delve into this drama stuff. And like you hear, and it's one of the things for good or bad, like maybe I'm more forgiving on some of this stuff for people because constantly, anytime I stream with someone, particularly a left winger, I have people inundating me with, but that's actually a horrible person. Haven't you heard this story? My policy's always been, unless something's blatantly confirmed, I'm not really scratching the surface on these allegations because they're a dime a dozen. And so I had never, like, all of this stuff that I've now, since I've started looking into this, like, what about Mr. Girl's dossier? I barely knew who Mr. Girl was. I never heard of this. I didn't know who Lav was. The only thing I knew about Destiny's relationship was he'd been accused of hooking up with Lauren Southern, that he had an open relationship with his wife, and that they were getting a divorce. And my only take on any of that was, I feel bad. Divorce sounds horrible. I feel bad for everyone involved. I didn't really care to pick on Destiny's relationship like a lot of right-wingers and say, oh, he's a cuck. Oh, he's bisexual. I just don't give a shit. Now, that's different than actual, like, violating people's consent. So to me, it just sounded like a story a dime a dozen. You hear scuttlebutt, but that's it. So I didn't know what And was talking about. For me, it wasn't until, I don't know whose post it was I saw on X. And, I'll be honest, to me, the thing that sets it apart, and the question I have is not just when did you hear something, and everyone could judge for themselves. If you heard whispers about something, should have you investigated? But for me, all I'm concerned is when did you believe it? If you believed Pixie's story and you've known it for months, what's your explanation for why you continue to work with Destiny? And maybe there is an explanation. I'm willing to hear people out. But then why have you changed now that the story's been made public? Because what that shows me is, well, maybe your withdrawal from Destiny, and I don't mean you specifically, I just mean in general. Maybe
No, go ahead. Lay it out.
Maybe the withdrawal from Destiny isn't because people are taking a moral stance. Maybe it's because there's public backlash, and now it's affecting people's image. And so the question is, if the story of Pixie had never became public, but people knew it to be true, would they still have withdrawn from Destiny? And I think that that's unacceptable. If they are willing to stick it out, but now that they feel it's hurting their public image, they're like, oh, we're going to take a step back. That, to me, is what's most troubling. If someone wants to make a case to me, listen, Destiny's my friend. I think he's remorseful. I'm willing to stick it out for him. Or this isn't the worst thing that a person could do. This doesn't meet my level. I'm willing to hear that, I guess. I'd be skeptical. But that's different than just straight up like, well, when it was private, I basically didn't do anything. But now that it's public... And that's what's troubling to me. And when you see people like Erudite and Dan came out and said, yeah, we've known of this for months, that's when I took notice, because I'm like, oh, this is all but an admission by the people involved. Like, yeah, this happened. And then on top of that, even though I don't know Pixie, I do know Cherry. And I was following the situation when I saw Cherry say, her allegation which is worse. It's not just that our recording of her was given without
consent. Are you
consent.
aware that that's not a part of the same leaks?
Yes. I'm aware that the original leaks happened, and then my guess is, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but my guess is predictably
but go ahead.
What happens with something like this is all of a sudden people start talking. So let's say you're a person that got leaks from Destiny. Now you're realizing like, wow, if I got leaks of 5 different people and now I know one of them didn't give consent, probably those other 4 didn't give consent. And so there's probably people talking behind the scenes. And my guess is one of them contacted Cherry and said, hey, did you know that I received this material of you? And she said, oh my God, what material? I didn't even know there was material. And my guess is that's what happened.
I'm going to give my point of view just before Jstlk, just because it's a little bit different. So although I did know and I did believe it, there was like 2 things. Firstly, I think everyone wanted them to be able to figure out some kind of a settlement privately because they were not dealing well with it mentally. Like Pixie was clearly not doing well, and she didn't want to talk about it publicly, at least to start with, right? When Melina started talking about it publicly is when I started to be sort of more proactively like pushing things for other people to like have I could take a stronger stance on it. And I got yeeted out for it a few weeks ago. So, but Jstlk's point of view is a bit different to mine. So
yeah, I mean it's
I can go into it.
I was just gonna say real quick. Yeah, listen, like, I feel like I'm trying my best to put myself in a similar situation. I've never really been in a situation like this. I feel if the victim doesn't want to come forward, I understand why people that know it to be true also wouldn't come forward. And for 2 reasons. One, because you're sort of taking that agency away from the victim. It should be their story to tell, and it should be them that decides ultimately how things proceed. The other reason, possibly more selfish, is if you come forward and you say, look, there's this allegation, this thing happened, and then there's a settlement behind the scenes, and Pixie would have talked with Destiny and came to a mutual conclusion, maybe a monetary settlement, maybe just an apology that she felt sincere, whatever. And then she goes public and says, no, actually, this wasn't a problem. Now you look like a horrible person because you broke this story.
Like an asshole.
Right. So I'm not trying to blame the people that knew that didn't come forward if it was really Pixie's wish, which seems to be the case, that this not come forward. And this opens a whole new can of worms for potential victims where it's like you have many incentives not to come forward, not the least of which is the more you talk about it and the more you come forward, the more you confirm you are one of the people in the videos that people saw or in the audio that people heard. And so you might just say, I'm going to leave sleeping dogs lie. I don't want anyone talking about this. So that's why I'm focused more on, okay, if you knew it and you didn't come forward because Pixie said not to, totally understand. But why did you keep working with Destiny and now you're saying, but I'm going to take a break? And there are explanations which are acceptable, you know?
Hold on. There's like one thing I don't like here. Okay, there's just one thing that's like kind of annoying about this, because you're right, that is what people are saying, but I don't understand. It's like, okay, I, out of concern for the victims, will not speak on this, right? When it protects Destiny. But when you need to absolve yourself, suddenly you're like, oh, Pixie, I need you. Hold on, Pixie, can you stand there? I'm going to lean on you as hard as I possibly can while I like get through this. And like to protect me, I will lean on Pixie as hard as possible. But I couldn't come out and like, when it was to protect Destiny, it was like, I just had to be silent. I had to be willing to risk things, right? It's weird for people to now come out after they've done this and go like, okay, I just didn't want to. Pixie, Pixie was suicidal. Pixie was, I had to defend Pixie. And it's like, well, you're not defending Pixie now. You're kind of just leaning on her for support.
Are you talking
and
about...
It's like, I get explaining your reasoning. I just don't really like the
Wait, who's leaning on Pixie for support?
You talking to Erudite?
There are a couple... Well, I thought Erudite did this a little bit. It's really Erudite. I really wish people wouldn't, lean on people we think are victims. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to lean on them in terms of like protecting Destiny, you should basically... Sorry, if you're going to protect them, right? When it also means protecting Destiny, you should protect them even when it means like letting yourself go.
Maybe
like,
so.
If that's your priority, you should prioritize that.
Maybe so, but I guess that I'm going to default to Pixie on this. If Pixie, all I've seen, I saw Pixie.
Sorry, I just mean the detail. The detail. That was all I was concerned about. It was just it was out of concern for Pixie that I stayed silent is fine. When you go into like absolute, like super vivid detail on how she was suicidal and stuff, I feel like that also helps certain people, and I think we can get into this after, who want to paint her as like crazy or something along those lines, right? Or manipulated in some way. I think it helps those people. It doesn't serve her.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. Ultimately, though, I agree. When I heard Erudite, like her streaming, I think it was with Turkey Tom, it did seem like maybe she was giving more details than she should have regarding sort of the emotional state that Pixie was in. But I guess I don't think that rises to near the level of a lot of other wrongdoing that I see here. And as long as Pixie's saying, yeah, I think Erudite had my back, I have a difficult time really grilling Erudite for that. My question to Erudite is more, and I know what she's going to say, and it's actually a legitimate answer. Why did you... Her response seems to be something like this. Look, the reason I stuck it out with Destiny and kept doing Bridges podcast, even though I knew this story and knew it was true, and knew that Pixie was having a very difficult time with it, was because I thought he was really remorseful. And okay, and now she's like, but I hear the allegations from Cherry now. Now it's time to take a step back. But the question that needs answered, and I asked Erudite this on X, and she said, I'm right, it deserves an answer, but she hasn't answered it yet because her internet connection's bad and she's been busy. The question is, but wait a minute, what did you, if you're willing to do that, if you really think that he victimized someone and you really think it's serious, but you think he's sorry, then I would demand, I would ask questions like, how many other people did you do this to? For example, we know that there are multiple people.
You have to say what you did, yes.
Right. We know there are multiple people in these leaks, right? It wasn't just Pixie. There's the gentleman that Destiny was performing oral sex on, and apparently other people. Again, I haven't looked up the videos, so I don't know how many other people there were. But the very first question I would ask my friend, if they were like, man, I'm so sorry, I would have said, did you give consent? Did those other people give you consent that are in those leaks? Did you ever send these photos to anyone else? Did you do this to anyone else? Did you ever record some? I would have asked all these questions. And maybe she did. I don't know. That's what I think she should answer. And what did Destiny say if she did? Did he say, no, this is the only time? And now, if you find her other times, wouldn't that seem to suggest that he's not remorseful, that he's still covering up? Those are the questions I had. And, furthermore, when did she decide to first start canceling her business relationship? Because she says, basically her statement makes it sound like when she heard about Cherry's allegations. But Cherry just came public, 3-4 days ago, right? So if she was...
Well, she didn't even know before she went public, right? She didn't even know.
Right. So I think that those questions need to be answered by Erudite. I'm not saying Erudite's irredeemable. I'm not calling her Ghislaine Maxwell, any of that stuff. There could be legitimate answers to these questions. But I think as someone who's interested in, would I want to do a show with these people again? And here's the other thing. I understand DGG or even you all's audience not giving a shit about what I think. Because at the end of the day, I'm a right-winger who's politically opposed to a lot of what Destiny does and what his audience would think. They don't owe me anything. But these are questions I think that people in the DGG community are asking. And I've been pleasantly surprised that there's been an awful lot of people in that community that are like, we have serious reservations about this. We want answers. We want to know what's going to change going forward. What exactly happened? Does Destiny feel remorseful? What? And I think that it's reasonable for Erudite to answer those questions, not for me, but for her own audience, for the audience around that, for Pixie, for Cherry. I think those people deserve those answers when they know moving forward who you're dealing with.
I think the thing that sticks out to me with a lot of the people who are moving away is that I feel like a lot of people aren't saying it's they were willing to let the Pixie thing kind of be resolved in-house, and then now they're spreading out. And I'm fine with them saying the Cherry allegations are what's doing it, but then I don't see the public support for Cherry from these people saying it was the Cherry allegations and the seriousness of this and the likelihood of it. Maybe they talked to Destiny. I talked to Destiny, I didn't get satisfactory responses. They're not coming out and saying that. They're just splitting off and they're saying, well, no, all of the allegations against, but it's clearly the Cherry thing that made their mind up, right? Because they were all in before. And I'm willing to come out and say, the Cherry thing for me completely changed how I saw everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're willing to distance themselves, but they will not say why, and that seems odd to me personally.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. If you're, it's different, and this might sound unfair, and I get it, but we're all human, and we all have biases. And when your friend is accused of something, or when the person that's your cash cow gets accused of something, maybe subconsciously you have a bias towards wanting to think the best.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all human. I know, at least with the friend thing, that's exactly. If someone accused my friend of something heinous and I didn't see any proof, I'd probably default to saying I probably believe my friend, unless it was a pattern, which may be a problem with Destiny. But so I get, the people that are like, oh, I'm going to give Destiny the benefit of the doubt. But at this point, it's like all these people are saying, well, but at this point, they're all admitting, no, we believed it. And so at that point, you can't blame an outsider who's just looking into this situation for saying like, so wait a minute, Destiny gets you all this clout, he gets you all these clicks, he gets you all this, in return money or influence or whatever it is you're looking for. When it was covered up behind the scenes, you were willing to let sleeping dogs lie. But now that it's public, it's like rats swing a ship. And let me be clear here. I would also be thinking this if I'm Destiny. If I'm Destiny and I'm like, oh, I talked to so many of these people behind the scenes and basically told them this was true when it was Pixie. And they were all like, okay, we'll still keep doing podcasts with you. And now that it's public, they're like, well. So I agree with you. I think that if you're one of these orbiters or one of these business associates with Destiny, I think that people deserve an answer to like, why the change? If you knew about this and you were okay working with Destiny, please be clear on what's changed. And maybe what's changed is, well, I believe Cherry's accusations. And I agree with you. Maybe they should be publicly supporting Cherry more. But it seems to me, I'll go a little different than you. I sort of agree with you, but I don't know that it's because it's Cherry. I think it could have been anyone. Oh, now that there's another allegation, now it's difficult to say I'm going to stand by this guy that's been made public. But couldn't you have assumed that that's basically inevitable? Like, let me throw out the easiest prediction in the world. There's going to be another woman that comes out and accuses Destiny.
I mean, there already was two. There was Melina first.
Melina that came out. Melina came out on her stream, and lots of people were aware of this. I reviewed the clips on my stream, and I was basically, my position is out of respect for Pixie. I was willing to say like, seems like something happened non-consensually here. Like I was just like kind of rolling through it, right? But I didn't want to name Pixie. But like Melina came out and said, yeah, I didn't consent to anything that was sent there. Like that is non-consensually released. I did not consent. Right?
Yeah, I didn't know this until this story broke, obviously. But yes, I've heard that since. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think. I basically anybody who knew about the Pixie thing and claims they didn't know about the Melina thing from like day one, I just don't really trust them. Yeah, I just don't really trust them because this was like sort of at least in this sphere, everybody was talking about it. So I don't know anybody who would.
A lot of people when Destiny and Melina broke up, they immediately stopped giving a shit about Melina, and even the ones that pretended to be her friend from the start. So to me, it was just kind of disgusting to see everyone just like completely ignore everything that she was kind of saying.
So you have to understand.
Like they watch her clips but not actually care, and then they'd make like comments like, "Oh, she has an OnlyFans," which isn't even true, and like try to imply that she does like that type of content, so it doesn't matter. Just really gross comments like this, which is frustrating for me to listen to.
So two things quick on this. One, as an outsider, again, I think you would all agree the calculus is different with people that are friendly with Destiny and that are dealing with Destiny on a regular basis and talking about things like this behind the scenes. For me, as someone that's like, when's the next time I'm debating Destiny on Kamala versus Trump? I don't know about any of this shit. None of it. I am aware of the general accusations that Destiny's sort of a scumbag with women. That's it. I knew that he had an open relationship. I did catch the Lauren Southern drama. Did he or didn't he sleep with her? I didn't care at all. Like, as long as it's consenting adults, I don't care. So I never heard this Melania stuff until I started watching like videos like yours, Jstlk.
Melina, not Melania.
Did I say Melania? Oh, shit.
Melina. Yes.
Okay, Melina, who wasn't sitting with Trump in California, talking about the wildfires today. But anyways, so it is different. If you heard and believe that, I guess I'll try to steelman to the best of my possibility. Maybe some people thought, well, this is divorce shit. People say all kinds of shit. Who knows what's true? Maybe that's what they thought about her. I'm not saying that's right, but maybe in their head, And that speaks to something greater. It's like it takes the ball getting moving. Sometimes with things like this, all it takes is one or two people to be like, wow, this is outrageous. And now all of a sudden that sort of spirals into people taking something seriously that before would have just been swept under the rug. And now once it starts to get taken seriously, people before that morally didn't really avoid the situation because, I just can't tolerate this morally, but it was convenient to forget about it. It was convenient because there was something that you got out of being in that orbit of destiny, whether it be friendship, whether it be clicks, clout, money, whatever. And so maybe you could cover it up when it was his ex-wife, but now it's, people are starting to get outraged, so I better jump on this bandwagon before I get caught up in the grinder too. I'm not saying that's right, but maybe that's what happened.
I don't know if it was convenience. I think that maybe Jstlk was put in an awkward position of sort of feeling empathetic for Destiny because of the way that he had been speaking to him, because Destiny technically also was a victim, right? It's just from my point of view, Destiny was a victim of his own very stupid decisions, but Jstlk was a bit more empathetic, and I assume that's the case for everyone else, I'd guess.
I mean,
no, hold on. I think it has to do a lot with, it has to do everything with, like, people had ambitions and ambitions and I guess I would say monetary incentive, but also potential monetary incentive. And I think discounting that, pretending people don't understand that is insane to me. Like, people are like, a lot of people on the internet, like commentators, expect you to go like, oh, yeah, I potentially have like a multi-million-dollar business with this person. No, I should cut this immediately, right? And that's not how any human being would operate in that situation. So for Pisco, who has like political aspirations, right? I don't necessarily think, me included, yes, me included, but I don't necessarily think for Pisco, for example, that like I would have expected him to cut ties before like anything officially came out, because for him, I think there's probably some amount of like, it's just objectively like cope, right? You're just like, something will happen, like we'll come through this in some way, right?
Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, it's cognitive dissonance because you have political aspirations. This person's helped you with your political aspirations. You made friends with them, right? Like, I understand why these people aren't before the cherry stuff. What I don't understand is a lot of the separation after the cherry stuff without any change or any stated change in like understanding of the situation. So to me, that's what's weird.
So let's talk about specific people. I'll start with Pisco. I like Pisco, and that may color my attitude towards this. I don't think Pisco did anything wrong. I think that Pisco has said in his statement, I think he needs to be, if he did anything wrong, it was that he was vague in his statement. But after some conversations, I truly believe that Pisco never heard anything about this Pixie allegation. Did not. That instead what he heard was the same sort of rumors that everybody hears publicly. And
I doubt it.
I don't think that's true.
That is what I've been led to believe. And if that's not true...
himself, did you watch his stream?
I did. He made one vague reference, and that vague reference was, I was aware about the leaks when they came out, but that was it. I didn't look for them or anything. And it sounded to me what he was talking about was the original leaks. The leaks of the actual videos being put publicly. Like, I don't think nowhere, I don't know. I'll be careful about what I say. I also know that he has to be careful as a potential lawyer who may have consulted Destiny about what legal matters, and maybe he can't speak. I don't know about that. But to me, anyone who was an orbiter that was unaware of these specific allegations and instead just heard the general milieu of like Destiny's bad with women and heard those rumors, but didn't hear Pixie's story, didn't hear the shape she was in and how difficult she was taking it, I have a difficult time blaming them. And then once that story comes public, if it takes them a day or two to be like, okay, I'm done, I'll just say this. I think I'm a reasonable read of people. If you watch that video with Pisco, the guy looks emotionally drained. He looks like he lost a good friend. He lost something that he put a ton of work in. And I'll also say the other thing I think Pisco has going for him, and again, I'm admitting my bias. Maybe I'll be proven to be wrong. Pisco has always struck me as someone that was hesitant to really jump into this type of drama. He strikes me as someone who takes seriously Trump's the shittiest.
Make it clear, it's not drama. I don't want to characterize it as drama. People keep characterizing it as drama. I'll just correct, but I don't think you're like trying to minimize.
No, I'm not. Let me rephrase and mean what I mean by drama. By drama, I mean people's relationship stuff. And yes,
interpersonal.
Right. And what happens is it like, I'll give you an example. I hope he doesn't mind. I'll use Andrew Wilson. I had two people blowing up my Discord about Andrew Wilson and his marriage and is everything as it seems, and he claims to be this good Christian, but was there out of wedlock sex and this and that? And you need to speak on this, Rob. You need to speak up. And what I told that person was, I don't give a shit. This isn't the type of stuff. If someone comes to me with a credible accusation, with some sort of evidence that's like some heinous immoralities occurred, like violating someone's consent in a significant way, that escapes the realm of drama. But and I'm sorry, like maybe I'm totally wrong about this, but Mr. Girl puts a dossier about Destiny out. That fell in the category of me of just drama bullshit I'm not going to look into. I'm sorry, and that might not be fair, but you have to understand, maybe it's different if I'm Destiny's friend or Destiny's co-host, but I'm just some dude that debates him once every 6 months. And I heard the same shit about Vosh, even before his stories broke. I heard the same shit about Dylan Burns and about how horrible he is. And not the same shit, but you know what I mean? Rumors.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm just like, I don't have time for this shit. I want to talk to people why I think my political ideology is the best, and I don't really care to talk about, was this person secretly gay? Did they secretly cheat on their wife? Are they too aggressive to women? And they're like, all of that's like, eh. Now this story's different because we've basically have an admission, and it's a serious matter. It's not just did someone cheat on someone. It's did someone violate someone's consent by sending these videos, and then even worse, in the case of Cherry, did they violate their consent by recording them without their knowledge? And so I'm willing to believe and give the benefit of the doubt, and I'll admit I'm biased towards Pisco, but I'm willing to believe him when he's like, I didn't know shit all about this Pixie stuff at all. And then once I found out, it took me a day or two. I had to wind down, understood, like I had to call people and tell them, look, our show's done. Call politicians, call the workers, call the people in the studio. And now I'm coming public and I'm saying it's terrible, but we have to end this. And I don't think if anyone who didn't know, you might make a criticism of, well, you should have looked harder. And maybe that's fair. I don't know. But I have a difficulty blaming anyone as too monstrous that legitimately...
I mean, that's a convenient side to say. But I'm doubtful that Pisco didn't know anything. If I'm entirely honest, I feel like everybody did.
That could be... And maybe, maybe we'll find out.
It's not impossible, but I doubt it.
I mean, if...
And I'm not shitting on Pisco because he did genuinely seem really upset about it. So it's...
There's a good chance we'd find out if he's lying, because presumably someone like Dan or Erudite, if they talk to him about it, will come out and say, yeah, I talked to him about it. And then we would know Pisco's not telling the truth. And so I guess we'll see. But other than that, I don't know what to do. Do I just say like, wow, that sounds convenient? Because yes, obviously Cherry and Pixie are the biggest victims in this. But I do not want to just go scorched earth and say anyone, like Jstlk, people could do that to you. Would that be fair to you if people were just like, you were around Destiny's community, fuck you, you knew what was happening? I don't think that'd be fair to you.
I'm comfortable with the question, but like I think you have to answer it, and I really dislike the people who kind of like, who just like, throw stuff, like I'll say, hey, here's what I knew, and here's like why I didn't answer. But if you wanna like say that's wrong, I'm gonna have that conversation with people. Like for me, it was, I knew about the Pixie stuff. I knew she didn't want it public, and out of respect, I was like, hey, I'm not gonna make a big deal out of it. I'm not gonna take actions that make people like ask me what was going on. And to me, I was like, I think Destiny won't ever really hop on my stream because I'm pretty sure that he wouldn't want someone to come in and start asking him about this, right? Which is an entire possibility. It just happened a little while back with President Sunday asking about the initial leaks with Lawrence Southern. President Sunday had hopped on and like started like grilling him on those leaks. So I was like, oh, well, it's probably fine. I also had some other shit going on. I didn't like distance myself because I didn't feel like there was a need to. Like I was just like, I'll let it play out. Now, what would I have done? To me, I was just waiting for it to come out so I could cover it, right? Mm-hmm. That's how I thought about it. But like realistically, I have a monetary incentive. It's possible that if it all comes out and then it kind of just goes away, that I don't cover it that aggressively, right? But I don't. That's like in the realm of hypothetical that we haven't been to because it came out very aggressively, and then the Cherry thing happened. And Cherry, I don't know if you know this, was my co-host on here for like 6-9 months. Yep. Probably like 6 hours a night we'd stream roughly for like a couple months. It's like when that came out, and I've been privy to a little bit more than other people. I was like, yeah, no, I buy, right? So that's how things changed for me. I think other people should have to give that answer. Like just explain. Like Dan just went on anything else, and apparently he said, even if the Cherry stuff is true, I'll stick by Destiny. Like I don't care. So
well,
I think that's insane personally,
that's a take.
Well, that is a take, but I'll just say real quick, going back to Pisco, right? Like I just feel like it is within the realm of possibility, and I don't see evidence to the contrary at this point, though I'm open to hearing him, that he did not know about these allegations. However, your general point there is correct, and that's why I talked to Econoboy. I don't know if you know him. He does a show with Pisco called Live and Learn, and I told Econoboy, it's like, I want to like Pisco. I don't want him to get caught up in this if he didn't do anything untoward. But I think he needs to answer some specific questions. And I'm not saying this because I'm sitting here going, yes, I can't wait to grill him, like I'm cross-examining him. I just genuinely want to know, like, what did you know and when did you know it? And why did you make the decisions you did when you did regarding terminating your relationship? That's it. And I don't know how much I should say about this, but I reached out in private and in public and made overtures to, I think it would behoove you to answer these things. And I understand that right now, for someone like that, who's looking, I'm completely opposite in this take, but he's looking at the incoming Trump administration like, oh my God, this is like the end of the country, that he probably feels like, well, shit, I've made a statement. I was vague. I was honest. I don't want to talk about it anymore. But I think he needs to. And I think he needs to, not for me or not for you, Jstlk, but for people in the community that maybe are upset with what Destiny happened and they're looking for somewhere to go. They're looking for someone that they're still looking for a community and people they could gather around that they don't feel behaved in an immoral way. And if you're one of those people around Destiny that's in that community, I think you should be as transparent as possible and answer these questions. As far as Dan saying that he'll stick it out, I guess I would have to, I would want to ask him specific questions about that. What if you think Destiny continues the behavior? What if you think he's not remorseful?
He's not. When has he ever showed remorse?
Well, I mean, hold on. Do you think it's a measure of remorse when he's tweeting out the Dr. Disrespect outfit for his first stream back?
No.
I don't know. No. Hold on. I don't have my presentation up. We can go through a couple of these things.
Or saying Pixie's just out for money. Yeah.
Yeah, he basically said, Pixie's out for money, there's a conspiracy against me, they timed all of these things coming out at the same time, which is objectively not true, by the way. He said all of these things to get his community, and now Dan went out and basically gave that community a bunch of targets. He said, you should go after President Sunday, you should go after Straight Raid, you should go after these people instead of going after Destiny, right?
No, I agree. I couldn't agree more.
Objectively,
from right out of the gate, Destiny's statement that he put on his Reddit was like a meme title. Right, which it's like, wow, you're kind of making fun of Elon. It's like, oof, that doesn't seem the best. And even, for me, I don't have the specifics in front of me, but for me, even under there, the tone seemed to be like, yeah, I feel bad. Yeah, I want to make this right. But I'm a victim too, and no one gives a shit about that. And it's like, this is just like being blown out of proportion. And whatever, you think you have a case, fine, bring it. Right, and it seemed like he was the type of person that is approaching this situation like he would most, which is, you're coming at me, I'm going to come at you, right? That's how it seemed to me. And then I've since seen that, he commented some, meme stuff about Cherry, this 15-2 stuff. That doesn't seem like someone who's taking it that seriously. Apparently, if I'm to believe the post I saw Cherry make just before I came on, he's putting posts out basically like, hey, he's using a untoward term for your name, Jstlk, and saying, oh, by the way, he's still on Kick, so make sure you don't watch there and give him money. That doesn't sound like someone who's remorseful. Or he said,
yeah, he's not.
Or he said
he's not remotely.
He said, oh, I'm not going to go to sex therapy, which, by the way, maybe he doesn't need to go to sex therapy. I'm no expert. I don't know that. But he said, that's the old me. I'm on Vyvanse now. So all this shit's 2022, 2023 Destiny. I'm sorry. That doesn't sound remorseful. That does not sound remorseful.
Bring up the cum fountain tweets.
Yeah.
Bring them up.
I mean, that
cum fountain images. The cum fountain images.
I don't know. I don't know where I had those, Kelly.
There's like two of them.
Somebody posted it.
Come on, post it. Repost it. Who's got the cum fountain?
Oh, sure. If somebody's got the pictures Kelly's referring to. Basically, he's done this whole Vyvanse fixed me arc. He's like, oh, Vyvanse made me not a Coomer at all. And there's a whole bunch of statements from him. By the way, there's a whole bunch of... Oh, it's in Starboard? Okay. Hold on.
Saying, this Vyvanse is making me cum fountains. Oh, okay.
He's saying that since these allegations?
No. It was before the allegations. Okay. It's just he's basically intimated that after Vyvanse, he no longer had this risk seeking, I'm focusing on, sex over all other things, lifestyle. But he follows somebody who, like, objectively is like, I don't know how to describe them. How would you describe Empath Chan? Some people say Nazi. This person like spits on black people, calls them the N-word in public.
Racist.
Yeah, and it's like one of his 40 follows, right? Wow. It's like one of his 40 follows. And it's like, why would that be one of your 40 follows on Twitter? If you're like, oh, I'm past this lifestyle
of her abdomen.
Well, I mean, in fairness, I don't know if that speaks to Destiny's remorse. It might speak to his shitty character. If this was something that was being done after...
sorry, I'm not speaking to his remorse. I'm speaking to the idea of, like, he's currently following them. That when he was on Vyvanse, he's no longer taking these risks. He's no longer following these people. He's no longer, like, looking at this. After Vyvanse, which was, I forget the precise date in 2023 when he started it.
Time to unfollow Lily Pichu, but not time to unfollow Empath Chan.
Okay. This is, like, not super important. He's got, like, messages way after he was on Vyvanse. Basically... being the same person. He's got clips. We covered clips of him after being on Vyvanse where he would talk about, like, how he'd get into these, like, Vyvanse-fueled gooning sessions. Like, it's just like a weird lie that he's using that...
So what you're saying is, when in part of his statement's like, oh, I'm a changed person because of Vyvanse, but if he had been saying previous to these accusations coming out, oh, Vyvanse, I get horny on it and I do this shit anyways, then it seems that he's being disingenuous when he's saying Vyvanse changed. I get you. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I mean, he'll say, I would assume, and maybe this is true.
You're full of shit.
He'll say, I was joking, which maybe he was or not. I don't know. But, I mean, it's not that... Look, it's one of the things not to take this to the political, really, but it's something that I say sometimes dealing with politics. You want people to be good, moral people, but even if they're not, at least they should be smart enough to make statements that could cover their ass. And so even if Destiny isn't really remorseful, isn't he smart enough to know not to be saying this dumb shit? After he's been accused?
It's because he just doesn't care.
We're beating around the bush here. Shut up, Kelly. Sorry, I gotta go here. We're actually beating around the bush entirely, Rob. The thing that we should all be focusing on is Destiny's consistent red pill arguments around consent, around how you should treat women, right? And that has been his debate style. Has been his points he's been making for 2-3 years, and he has destroyed that. He's destroyed his credibility completely. Right? He has annihilated his credibility. He has said this is a foundational point of everything he believes, and he has destroyed that. He does not care about consent. He does not care about respecting women. Doesn't matter to him whatsoever, or else he would not be making the decisions he's made.
Yeah, right? I mean, I agree.
And at minimum, if it was an addiction, if he came out and said, okay, if he wanted to play this, I don't believe it. But if he wanted to play the whole addiction route, he would show remorse. He would come out and say, I've made mistakes. I will make amends, right? Here are the things I've done. But that's not what's happening, because now people will say that's because of legal issues, but you can't really, it's like if you're remorseful, you will take the legal consequences of the actions you've committed, right?
Yeah, and even
in my opinion.
Okay, but let me say, if I even disagreed with that point, well, he can't speak on this because of legal actions. Then what the fuck are these Vyvanse comments and these 15-2 comments about Cherry? If you have to be silent, be silent. He's an asshole. Right? What I'm saying, what is uniquely.
Wait, did you see his comment, like, threatening people? That, basically, like, if I'm going down, if I'm a sex offender, then there are 20 streamers I'll take down with me. But, like, the thing is I don't know how to discern that. So when I first saw that, I thought, okay, he's going after other streamers, right? But now it's like, wait, but also, is he threatening people to, like, stay silent? I can't discern. And I don't understand, like, I don't know if he's running these through lawyers, these statements, but they're...
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's three possibilities. I did see that. I forgot to mention that one. Like, there's three possibilities. One, he's just completely bullshit beaming, which it's like, well, you can't blame people for taking it serious given the gravity of the situation. Second, he's admitting that he knows other people that are legitimate sex offenders, 20 of them, but he's covering up for them until it helps him. That's really bad. Or three, is he's saying, bro... Everybody better be quiet about this shit because I've been to parties with an awful lot of people that maybe did some shit that was shady, and I'll come out with that, which would be sort of a threat. None of those three are good. Why would you be saying this shit? If I'm Destiny's lawyer right now, I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. What are you doing? And it's not as if Destiny doesn't know. I mean, or not. This was just comments he's making on a Discord just for his members or something? Is that what it is? And someone screenshotted it, I'm guessing?
This is his website's chat. So on his website, he's got a unique chat And this is in his website's chat.
Yeah, so he knows
this is tonight. He's throwing these out.
It's going to be made public, right? He knows it. This isn't like...
yeah, it's public.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't... for me, I'll say this, Jstlk. So the second time I dealt with you was surrounding Destiny's comments around this assassination, right? Now, here's the truth. I'm this country bumpkin redneck who works home healthcare, 70 hours a week, and I love doing this as a hobby. And part of wanting to do it as a hobby is I want to interact with people that I might disagree and go hard at, but that ultimately I don't think are evil, horrible people, right? Like, I don't want to sit here and get into a community of like actual Nazis and be debating them every night. I would debate a white supremacist Nazi or whatever, but just like as a one-off. But when I'm talking to people like regularly, like, oh, I'm going on a Wick panel, or I'm going on a Dylan Burns panel, I like to think that these are people that are okay people, even if I disagree with them, right? So when this assassination business occurred, it bummed me the fuck out because I saw so many people that were like, well, maybe Trump should have died. And that, to me, makes it not fun anymore. And I don't want to talk to people that are like, well, I think the person you're voting for politically should be murdered. So I reached out to you. I reached out to Lonerbox. I reached out to Lauren Southern and a bunch of other people and just wanted to talk about, like, I'm concerned that the messaging that Destiny's putting out might inspire someone in his audience to do something shitty. And so can we all just take a step back and be like, hey, well, no assassinations. Let's pull that back. Meanwhile, Destiny's
makes you feel any better, Rob. He's against shooting CEOs. So
right.
Make everyone pretend to be a CEO.
Right, which actually didn't help him in my eyes because then when asked specifically, well, how's this different than Trump? He went off about, well, Trump's uniquely evil, blah, blah, blah. Nonetheless, the reason I bring this up is this, not to shit on anyone specifically. I legitimately wasn't out to bury Destiny or bury the community. I wanted to have them be like lovable adversaries. That's what I wanted. And so that's also what I see here. There's troubling shit that came from the community. And I think that this now is a different, more serious in many ways, troubling thing that's coming from the community. And I think that everyone needs to take a step back and say, well, what does this mean? Like, what's going on in this community? What's going on specifically with Destiny? And people deserve answers to this shit. And so I felt this way for a long time. Like, how long ago was that assassination attempt? That I was trying my best to give people the benefit of the doubt. And
I just want to fill in here for you really quickly, Rob. Some people are asking, like, why is Rob talking about this? It's irrelevant. Rob is explaining why this is less shocking to him because he's basically been concerned about Destiny's moral character since the firefighter comments.
Correct.
That's why he's saying this, okay? He's not trying to make a political point.
No.
He's saying that led me to be concerned about his moral character, so this is a little bit less shocking to me.
I'm also showing that I'm trying to hear people out and not jump to conclusions and not just try to bury people. That's not what I was trying to do. And it was similar here. Yes, what Destiny's accused of is obviously its own thing. But I think there's also interest for me, and I think more importantly for people in the community, for the actual victims like Cherry and like Pixie, that they want to know, well, what did the people around this know? What is their feelings on it? Or what are they going to do moving forward? Because there is a level that I think every one of us deserve, whether you're a streamer, whether you're just a viewer. You have a right to be like, look, this passes a moral threshold where I can't listen to this person anymore, or I can't deal with them. And it's not just Destiny. Maybe people feel like that about Dan now. I haven't seen these Dan comments myself, so it's difficult to comment. But if Dan came out and was just like, hey, you know what? I didn't think it was that bad. I'm going to stand behind Destiny. People might say, okay, I don't want to listen to him anymore then, or I don't want to stream with him anymore. That's all. That's my concern in looking into this. And the other thing is, I'm not going to play this high and mighty game. Yes, I care about Cherry being a potential victim. I can't prove that her statements are true. I'll ask you about that a little later, more about it. Pixie, it seems that it's all been confirmed they're true. I feel bad for both of them. But I would be lying if I didn't tell you that there's a little schadenfreude based on the past statements Destiny's made about consent and shit, and seeing how, how detrimental it is to his own cause. And the way I explain it is, it's like a Jerry Springer episode where someone's accused of something, not even Jerry Springer, like Steve Wilkos or something, where someone's accused of something heinous, but you know the people. Like, if you saw Steve Wilkos' show and it's like, that's my neighbor who's accused of molesting someone, you're probably going to be like, oh my God, I want to ask so many questions about this. And that's sort of how I feel. And, I understand, Brianna Wu, when she's on with Connor, her and Connor are saying like, well, people are clout chasing off this and people are just commenting on it because it's like, oh, we could get views and we could get clicks. And I'm sure there's some of that going on, and maybe subconsciously some of that shit's going on with me. I'm not claiming to be a great person. But I think people are crazy if they think that basically the biggest political streamer in this sphere, who has so much influence around even the orbiters and the debates they're having, if it doesn't affect everyone to a slight degree as far as the broader...
I think if clout was like the goal, you wouldn't be distancing yourself from Destiny unless you felt like you had to. Right?
Yeah, I'm fucking myself.
You lose a lot by doing that, yeah.
And Jstlk screwing himself. I mean, for me, the biggest platform I've ever had is being on Tim Pool. That was directly a result of debating Destiny. And I could have just been silent, and then when Destiny comes back, been like, yeah, let's debate Destiny. But I'm just saying, honestly, what comes to mind. That's it. And, I think that's what frustrates me. I in some senses, what I need to listen to what Dan said, and I will. But in some senses, it's a little refreshing to hear someone say, you know what, I'm sticking with this guy no matter what. Whether you agree or disagree with that at least seems to be a more genuine, forthright answer than
like taking a stand at least.
Yes.
Yeah, like you can make judgments on it. Instead of just making it ambiguous and waiting to see what actually happens, right?
Like Connor and Brianna's statements like, well, let's start off talking about Destiny's trauma. And now we're going to move into what a talented guy Destiny is. And he's so charming. And when you meet him, when he talks to you, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, we're at 10 minutes, we're at 20 minutes, we're at 30 minutes. Oh, now we're moving on to President Sunday being a shithead. Okay, we're at 40 minutes. Oh, now we're on to Mr. Girl being a shithead. We're at 50 minutes, we're at 60 minutes. Oh, now it's Lav's a shithead. We're at 70 minutes, we're at 80 minutes. Oh, finally now. And Connor even says at one point, he's like, all this moral frogging in our audience wanting us to say that Destiny did something shitty. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. They're claiming to be Pixie's friend. That's what blows my mind. Like, who am I?
It definitely should be the thing you start with.
Right.
Yes.
And obviously. So, yes, they do eventually say, okay, yeah, what's been said here is bad, and he doesn't seem remorseful based on statements like the ones on screen right now. He doesn't seem remorseful, but then you're like, okay, I guess they salvaged it a little at the end there, but you could just tell from the whole tone and the presentation that it's like, okay, I guess we have to talk about Destiny here at the end, and then all of a sudden, Brianna leaves. Okay, fine, and Connor brings on Queeman, and I think that's how you pronounce his name, and Lav, and he proceeds to make an ass of himself defending Destiny all over again, where he gives a definition of what he says.
He doesn't understand it all. That was embarrassing.
It's so bad, and I like Connor, and I'm not saying I'll never deal with Connor again, but I'd be lying if I said that didn't bring him down a peg in my eyes, because my book on Connor was always, I think he's sold out, getting paid by Progressive Victory. I think some of his takes are dog shit, but he seems like a really good dad and husband. And to me, that's way more important. So he seemed like a moral guy. And I could live with that. Okay, I think your political takes are dog shit, but hey, you seem like a great guy. And that, to me, questions a little bit of his morality. How I think that he was sweeping up for Destiny. And I feel the same about Brianna, though I never really thought much of Brianna anyways. Not anywhere near this case, but you know what I mean. So Dan, I don't know about, I didn't see the statement. But to me,
he's still live right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, Dan has said, like, Destiny is a sociopath, like, long before, like, this stuff happened, right? I think that Dan is just okay with the fact that Destiny is a shitty person, and he just kind of always has been. He would have to do something, I don't know, if Destiny raped someone, he'd probably be out. But
I'm just saying that Dan, so when a Reddit admin for Destiny made misogynistic comments about Kelly here, Dan invoked the safety of his daughter to try to get this guy fired. He said, I want the world to be a place safe for my daughter. And then he came out tonight and he said, well, I assume the Cherry allegations are true, and even if they're proven true in court, I will stand by Destiny. So I don't know why he is willing to say mean comments in a chat are relevant to the safety of his daughter, but apparently Destiny recording women without their consent and disseminating that by the way, it's audio clips. It's audio. It's like an audio thing.
Have you heard
disseminating that without? I've heard sections and confirmed the veracity. Does not appear to be doctored in any way. It is true.
Okay, yes. I think that's a question that people in like my audience want to know because listen, I think you could talk to Cherry. I think Cherry will first interaction I had with her, she moderated a debate with me and Pisco, and I gave her the fucking business because I thought she was entering in as a debater. We talked behind the scenes afterwards. We came to what I thought was an amicable like closing on it, no big deal. And we've talked several times since, and I think that she would be I think she would think that her impression of me would be someone that was like, I don't know how much I should say about this, but like, it's someone who just sees, I'm not involved in any of these communities really, but you'll just see posts on X. And sometimes someone will speak to your heart that you can tell someone's like really struggling. And like months ago, I saw, I don't know how long ago, maybe over a year ago, I saw posts from Cherry that looked like she's in a really bad place. And I just reached out to her, was like, I don't got shit all to say about anything. I don't know what your specifics are. All I know is online drama's bullshit. Don't worry about it. If you ever want to get your mind off it and just bitch about Trump versus Biden or something, hit me up. And that's honestly, Cherry seemed like a nice person to me and someone I enjoyed interacting with just politically. That's it. And so I have no reason not to believe Cherry. But if I'm being completely honest, I'm like, there's always a possibility that there's an axe to grind or a possibility that someone AI made something to sound like Cherry and then sent it to Cherry and lied and said, oh, Destiny sent this to me.
That would be like several people sending her the same thing.
Well, that's what I mean.
Like that is collusion of people.
But I do want to say, I do want to say that like, I think we can both agree, Rob, that even if you want to hold your judgment reservation like that, you don't have to go and like attack this person. And a lot of Cherry's posts, she's like absolutely just getting attacked by people. And it's like, wait, you can say like, I need to see the evidence to make a decision. And I don't like hate people who say that. Right. But I do have a particular dislike for people who say this isn't true. You won't show evidence. It's like, do you know what the evidence is?
Right.
Do you understand what the evidence is?
That's the point I made earlier.
I just mock these people. I'm like, do you go up to child pornographers and you say, hey, wait, sorry, you go to people charging your friend for child pornography and you say, let me see the evidence.
Right.
Can I see the evidence?
Oh, you got raped? Retard. Let me look and examine your vagina.
Well, imagine if someone came out and said, when I was a child, someone took explicit photos of me and released them, and someone said, prove it, let's see the photos. You'd be like, fuck no? That's the whole point of what victimized me? So yeah, I mentioned that earlier. That's one of the reasons that people would, if there were more victims, they would be hesitant to come forward. Because by coming forward, in many ways, especially if it's in the situation where it's been leaked publicly, millions of people are going to go, oh, really? There's a video of that? Let me see if I can find it. And in the case of Cherry, the only way she could prove this to the public would be releasing the very audio that's causing her the traumatic experience in the first place. So why would she ever do that? Even coming forward, now, I don't know, maybe Cherry had disclosed she had a relationship with Destiny previously. I don't know if that's the case.
She had.
Okay.
But well, it was disclosed. Sorry, I don't know if she disclosed it, but it was disclosed.
Okay. Well, nonetheless, if you didn't, you could see how that would be further reason. If you want to keep your sex life private, you don't want to come out and say, oh, there's a sex audio recording of me and Destiny. Like, you have the right to keep that shit private, And so, yeah, the people that are demanding that Cherry release the audio is foolish, and again, I'm with you 100%. I totally understand people that want to reserve judgment. But yeah, just coming out and saying, I know this is bullshit because she won't release the tape is a low IQ take that would only be done by someone that's not interested in getting to the truth, but interested in their side winning, or in this case, defending Destiny. So that's a terrible point, anyone that's making that. But I was wondering because I know she had said that she had released sections of it to other people so that at least there were other witnesses that would say, yes, I could back this up. So
I'm one of those people, yeah.
And you don't think that there's a chance that it was
multiple?
You don't think there's a chance that it's someone else or that it was AI?
Nope.
And she would know, she would probably know because not to get too graphic, but if this audio is saying things that she never said, she would know like, well, that might kind of sound like me, but that's not me.
So I'm not going to answer that.
Okay.
But it's yeah.
It is your belief that this is authentic and it's not AI or anything of that nature.
I will tell you, yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Because
I've considered many of the things you have considered.
Right.
And I still believe in the veracity of this 100%.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
We live in a shitty world and we're not far away from people making believable videos or audio of people that, that it could fool everyone. So, and that wouldn't be Cherry's fault at all if something like that happened, if someone misled her. But it was just one thought that could have happened. Now, unfortunately...
Jstlk, quickly. Are the people that also sent the recordings to Cherry, quite, reliable, verifiable people? Are they girls that we know that have either hooked up with Destiny?
I would not give that information away in the stream.
Oh, you wouldn't?
Okay. I don't need to give. So one of the things that's very concerning is people reaching out to potentially harass people or anything like this.
Oh, sure.
I would not give away any additional information on anybody who's reached out. We can just leave that all for
I would assume later. That they are at least reliable.
I would make no assumptions.
Right? I'm not saying for any particular
I would make
reason.
no assumptions. Obviously, these leaks came from somebody that nobody knew, right? I would make no assumptions.
Yeah. And so it's listen, I think that a lot of DGG audience has reacted pretty amicably. But listen, I've never blamed Destiny for this in the past. I understand now that I'm hearing people saying that maybe Destiny brigaded his audience to other people. I don't know if that's true or not. I can't speak to that. I've certainly been on the end of quote-unquote harassment from DGG. Most of it's the worst of it would be kill yourself, you fat fuck, something like that. I don't really care. It's in one ear and out the other. And I never blame Destiny personally for that. It's just he's got a rabid fan base. But nonetheless, whether you blame Destiny or not, there is some rabidness in that fan base. And so anyone opining on this opens themselves up to, look at this post on the screen. You're getting called names by Destiny, and there are people in his audience that might take that and say,
are you aware of the provenance of this name? So I was a conservative. I'm a social conservative more in Destiny's community, right? And essentially, there was maybe a couple weeks when Destiny was watching Nick Fuentes that I would link his stream. I'd kind of watch Nick Fuentes a little bit, but I was a Destiny fan, right? I watched Destiny. And so what happened here was I would link his stream and people go, "Oh, are you a groiper or something?" And it became a meme. But there's no proof of this whatsoever. There's no proof. I've never ever said this. I've never said anything along these lines. It's just objectively not true. I've actually had people reach out from that community and be like, "Hey, what was your name?" I'm like, "I wasn't there." They're like, "We don't know you. Why would you be there?" And I'm like, "No, there's no connection at all." And this came to a head actually, and I had a whole drama with Dan and Destiny about it, where I was like, "This is really inappropriate. You're objectively supporting this idea that I'm some kind of Nazi. It's just not true." And I asked both of them to stop. I asked both of them to help clean it up in the community. Basically, no support whatsoever, right? And so they both know that it's something that was irritating me previously,
right? And
they've used it now to attack me. So it's just
breaking news.
Again, oh, go ahead.
Destiny crashing out.
Oh, really?
He just made a comment about Lycan, and he also banned Jacob again for the second time. I thought he already
Jacob
banned
was
him.
Pretty mad at him before, but
IP ban Lycan straight away. Just look at the flowers. What's wrong with this man?
Destiny, if you're listening,
these were your friends. You're a fucking loser.
And optically, even if optically this looks so bad, part of it has to be that you have to take your medicine. You have to understand that if you're truly remorseful, you have to understand I fucked up. And every one of us have a human instinct to want to defend ourselves. But you have to understand when you fuck up in a serious way, if you're truly remorseful, you have to bury that instinct, at least for the time being. And so when you're going out there ban this guy, ban that guy, ban that guy, it just makes it look like you're crashing out, that you're fuck these people. And he feels that way. Yeah, I know he feels that way. Listen, my guess is, and this is unfair, I guess, but I don't give a shit. This is my feeling. My guess is that every bone in Destiny's body wants to come out and basically make the argument you heard so many people make around Harvey Weinstein, which is...
He can't stand this, by the way.
These fucking ladies...
He can't stand not being able to talk right now. He's obviously making horrible statements, so...
I bet what he wants to say, though, is these fucking ladies, they weren't...
Destiny seethe.
They weren't complaining when they were getting clout. When they were hanging, they weren't complaining then, and they knew what was going on, and they didn't give a shit then. Oh, but now it's a benefit for them. Now they could get a few dollars. Now they could get a little clout dragging my name through the mud, and fuck that. That's what he wants to say, but he knows that would be infinitely bad for any potential lawsuits and for his image at this point. And so what's the next best thing? Well, we'll go after the tangential people. And, for me, the best thing to do would just be to not talk about it. It would even be better to just start streaming and being like, Trump's an asshole. Let's talk about these executive orders. I'm not going to talk about anyone who mentions the case. I'm not talking about it. I'm just going to mute you or ban you from the chat. I'm just going to go to my Discord and I'm going to like all this shit. It's such a bad idea. And it really, I think.
He's like openly in his chat has also called Pixie like greedy and says she's being controlled by people. Like she just wants a payday. She just wants money.
And here's the other thing.
You know Pixie, right? Have you probably debated with Pixie on panels or something
I
before?
don't believe I've ever debated. I may have. You know how panels are. Sometimes they're a panel with 8 people and you don't remember anyone's name. But to my knowledge, I've never met her.
Okay. But you're aware of her?
Now. I'd never really heard her name that I know of. Again, I probably had debated her, but it didn't stick with me.
Moo just shot back. Oh,
sorry, there's a whole thing, Rob, where basically we had a drama between two people who lift weights, and Destiny banned one of them and said the other guy won, and then the other guy went in and pasted the same message that got the first guy banned, which is basically like, fuck you for doing all of this. You've like burned everything down, blah, 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 blah. So it's very funny. We watched Destiny basically say like, this guy owns you. And then the guy who he said, yeah, it was a little amusing.
Has redeemed himself. Salute.
It's just, I do like, here's another thing, right? Like, and I know people aren't going to believe that the DGG's been hard on me, right? But I don't give a shit. Like I said, there's some outlier assholes. Most of it's just, oh, fuck you, you used AI. Oh, fuck you, you're wrong about this or that. And I could quibble about whether or not they're right or wrong, but that's all within bounds. That shit's like whatever. And so they might not believe me when I say this, but I actually feel really bad for the community because I think I don't understand this. I'm 40 years old, so I'm probably older than both of you. I don't know, my guess. And I'm married. I basically do this as a hobby, not for a community. Like I basically stick to myself. And I understand, though, that particularly younger people, but anyone, a lot of times these communities are super important. This is your friend network. And so imagine that you're in that network, and then the guy that you've all circled around and you think's really great and inspired you and brought everyone together, he does something that you feel is sort of morally outrageous. And then at the same time, probably, I'm guessing, most of the people in that community are really not in a good place because of the results of the election. And so it seems like there's going to be a lot of people depressed and a lot of people upset, which is another reason that I think that if you're one of the orbiters, that you should come out and be as transparent as possible and talk to people, because I think that you could do a lot of good right now for a lot of those people that maybe are in a really bad place right now that are watching this. And so, I don't know. I just, the whole thing's terrible. It just really is. I'd have liked for nothing more than this never happened, for Cherry and Pixie not to be victims, to continue to argue with Pisco and Connor and Destiny and about how shitty their political takes are, and get to bed by 11 o'clock and wake up and go to work. Like, that's great. That's a great life for me.
Yes, he basically set fire to everything that's having a negative effect to everyone, right? But it's kind of weird to talk about it because you don't want to take... you don't want to take the focus off of victims.
Right.
Yeah. So
yes.
It's like we don't want to sit here and be like, oh, Destiny, you made my life so hard, because then you sound like an asshole. You sound kind of like Dan, actually. I was literally doing that earlier.
Well, he did not
Destiny, you made my life annoying. Like, it's just, you look like an asshole.
He did not make my life annoying or hard or anything like that. I just think that there are people, one of the things that concern, and this speaks to the harassment thing too. I'm not a member of, like, I have a Reddit account. I've used it like 3 times to try to figure out how to do shit with my computer. But people will send me Reddit screenshots from people's community if they're talking about me. And there's a lot of times people will send me shit from Destiny's community. And after the assassination attempt, I'm bringing this up for a reason, not politics. After that attempt, I'm seeing all of these pics that are being shown to me of people that are like, yeah, we tried to stop Trump the lawful way, and like Destiny said, that didn't work. So now we got to take it to the next level. And it's not a political point I'm making. It's an impressionable point. It's that people in that community are looking to Destiny. And if this blows over, if it's not a big deal, right? Oh, whatever. Are there impressionable people in the community that think like, it's no big deal to act that way? Isn't that something worth asking? Like,
Oh, the weed comment.
Sorry, we're looking at some logs on screen as well. Just from, just.
So I mean, I think that
I don't know.
I think that people have I understand that it's difficult to talk about if you're an orbiter, and I understand if it's the wish of the victims to not want to talk about it, and they should be prioritized. I get all of that, but there are reasons to try to discuss what this morally means, and and I'm afraid some of it's left wanting, and it's unfortunate that people like Cherry, that's a victim, that's, assuming she's telling the truth, a victim, she's got to deal with, people that are going to be like, fuck you, you got an axe to grind, you're terrible, you're trying to bring down my favorite streamer. That's horrible. It makes it so anyone else that might want to come forward would be even less likely to do so. And, I would hope, if Destiny was truly remorseful, maybe he would be putting messages out like, please don't do that. Even if he thinks she's wrong, he'd say, understand that things will come out about this. There's potential court cases I can't speak, but please don't attack anyone in my name. And I did see one comment of Destiny, which only one, and I've certainly criticized a lot, where he said, look, even when this all ends, if you think that it's not a big deal to send things without consent, you're wrong. I'll ban you from my community. And it's like, well, I guess that's nice. If only you would have practiced what you preached, I guess.
A little bit too.
It's also
too little, too late.
Of course. One of the crazy things about I couldn't believe this. I thought this was a lie until I clicked on the video and watched. Are you aware of the fact that at one point Pixie's dad called in and talked to Destiny for a decent amount of time?
Oh yeah, I don't think that was just. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sure if that was just one time. I remember Pixie's dad came on stream a couple times. But yeah, it's rough, and just thanked him for being such a good friend to his daughter, and
oh my god,
yep.
Can you imagine if you're I have a 4-year-old son. I can't imagine the rage that I would have. I would already have a rage I can't imagine the kind of person who could look that guy in the face and and say oh yeah, you're welcome. I have taken care of you. It's disgusting, but that's brutal. That's so. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, there's.
I wonder if this guy has any genuine friends.
Well, I've asked that a long time ago. I asked that. Look again. I don't know how much I should say. I'm probably saying more than I should. When this assassination thing came about, I reached out to Pisco and I was like, "Listen." And me and Pisco weren't talking at the time. He was pissed off about a little petty argument we had, and I was like, "Hey, I think if you're truly friends with Destiny, I think he's spiraling out of control, and I'm concerned that a member of his community might do something fucking crazy, or that he might say something that really ends him in legal trouble or ends up getting his channel significantly harmed." And I don't know. I told Pisco this straight up. I was like, I don't know how many friends that guy has. I think that a lot of people surrounding him are surrounding him because they think they have something to gain. And a lot of times people like that, as soon as the going gets tough, they bail out on you. And so does he have, it's like you hear about a lot of celebrities and stuff where it's they get crazier and crazier. And you think, wasn't there anyone around them to be like, hey man, you can't do 5 lines of Coke and a bottle of whiskey and drive down, the boulevard in your Lambo. You can't do that, man. But it's well, no, they don't have anyone that ever tells them no because everyone's just grifting off them. Yeah, you're the man. You did it, man.
I think, Did Destiny ever come out and say explicitly political violence is never the answer? I feel like that was the concern, right? Is we just wanted the disavowal. Yeah. I just can't remember. I don't remember I stopped following his politics because I just didn't.
For me, as briefly as I can, this is what I'll say. He made fun of that firefighter that died. I think that's shitty. That wasn't my concern. I only had one concern of his, and that's when Pisco asked him straight up, did you want that bullet to kill Trump? And he said, I can't really answer because of terms of service. Well, I will say the worst thing that happened was that it missed. And for me, that could easily be, I could put that as generous as possible and say, he's just kind of joking a little, whatever. Okay. Right. But what about members of his audience? Are they taking that shit seriously? That's a very fucking harsh thing to say a day after an assassination attempt that actually ended up killing an innocent bystander. And then of course he said, I will grind a little political axe here. He said all Trump supporters are fucking around and finding out because if you're willing to go to a rally with a monster like that, then you have to know that there's a chance you'll be killed. I wonder if Destiny feels the same way about himself and his followers. Is he such a monster that if you're a Destiny fan and some victim of some sort of sexual crime decides to take violence out on them, would Destiny say, hey, fuck around, find out? Or maybe can we all agree now that that's a fucked up attitude to have? You know? So, I mean, that's what my grind was. I was trying to get people, I don't give a shit left, right, or center, to be like, in order to have a dialogue, we need to have an implicit agreement that we can't use violence. Right? That's it. That's all I was trying. Whether that be against each other, against the political opponents that we don't like. And if you're unwilling to acknowledge that, then I don't want to talk to you. Because you might decide, if you don't like what I have to say, that you get to use violence against me or the people I support. And so I'm uninterested in the conversation. And that's all I was trying to do then. The only reason that's relevant now is, one, to speak what my attitude towards this community was, as far as I wasn't trying to bury them. And second, that people can be impressionable. And I hesitate what to think that, if Destiny doesn't truly show remorse and he comes back, are there going to be young, impressionable people who are like, yeah, that shit's not a big deal. Yeah, bang as many chicks as you can and film them. Who gives a shit if they know? Destiny got away with it.
We hope that not to be the case.
Well, I hope as well, but that's
like, why we don't really have. We can only speak on our platforms and sort of denounce things, and hopefully that the DGG that remains listens to it. And
but that's
hope they're not. I've never got the impression that they're radicalized towards violence myself. So
maybe so, right? But I'm just saying, I understand that it's just another reason that if you're Pixie said this. I haven't seen Cherry's statement as thoroughly as Pixie, but I'm sure Cherry would agree with this, that it's not necessarily about personally being recompensed, but it's more the punitive. How do we make sure this guy doesn't do this stuff again? And we don't want a community of people that think that that's okay, and him to continue to benefit and not face repercussions. And so,
part of what they've done is what helps stop things recur, right? So they've spoken out and people know what he's like, so they know what he's inclined to do. So, like, hopefully that will force him to change, or at least the women that do meet him are aware of what he does. So,
well, again, this is the problem I had with the overarching statements that I saw from Brianna and Connor. Both of their statements, the bulk of it seemed to be, sure, we favor these lawsuits, we favor these, let them play out. But unfortunately, I hate to say this for Cherry and Pixie, even if Destiny's guilty, that doesn't guarantee you win a lawsuit. That doesn't guarantee you win a criminal case, right? And when it comes to rich, powerful people, maybe they could afford a better lawyer than you. And maybe they get off the hook, or maybe the laws are written vague, he technically didn't violate this portion of this law or that portion of that law or whatever. Are we really willing to just say, like, well, if the court says no dice, then that's good enough? I don't think so.
No. I think people already are, that without any court case, that's more so justice for them, right? But everyone already agrees that what Destiny did was wrong. I don't think any court action after the fact is going to make us think that he's more wrong or less wrong. He is wrong.
Maybe I'm not being clear. That I agree with that, but what should the consequence be? Right? And what it seemed that Connor and Brianna was saying, don't worry, the court will take care of that. And I don't find that sufficient.
That is obviously bullshit, right? If you're in this community or politics community or whatever the fuck, I don't know, you should be holding him to account. That should be the consequences of what he's done. Why they're choosing not to, I don't know. I don't know Connor or Brianna.
They later went on in the last 20 minutes to say, well, we will be distancing ourselves, which is okay. That's what I wanted to hear. I don't even care if they said we're going to distance them. They could have said, like, Dan, we will not be distancing ourselves. But this is what we want to see with Destiny, right? But when you're just like, yeah, it's bad, we support the lawsuit, and that'll take care of it. Like, that's not good. That's not a good mentality to have. That doesn't really tell anyone anything. And even comments I've seen from people inside the DGG community, they're like, yeah, we don't really give a shit about the court case. We understand why Pixie would care and why Cherry would care, and God bless them, good luck. But as individuals, how are we ourselves holding people accountable? How are we going to hold Destiny accountable? Are we going to change the channel and not listen to him anymore? Are we going to say, well, we'll stick around, but we want to see growth? We want to see contrition? That's, I think, the conversation that people should be having. And unfortunately, that's sort of what Erudite said. She's like, well, I first agreed to stick with him because I thought he was remorseful. And, like, what does she feel now?
Where's the remorse?
Right. Now that I
will hold him to account by continuing to call him a cowardly, pathetic little loser.
Yeah, so
because I know he listens to all of this. So, Destiny, just a reminder, you're a fucking weirdo.
Well, if he's listening, then let me kiss his ass a little. No, I'm just kidding. One thing I will say though, I don't know that this is irredeemable. I don't think it warrants like the literal death penalty or life in prison. And so, if you're Destiny and you're listening, who gives a fuck what I think? You should do some soul searching. And you should understand why, yes, there are people that just hate you and are going to make a big deal of this or that. But there's an awful lot of people that otherwise would have liked you that think this is too much. And should ask yourself why that is. And you should try to grow as a person and understand that you did something really fucked up.
Well, like, I have all my logs from when the stuff first leaked to show, like, I was totally empathetic to this guy. I was totally on his side. I thought he was like the absolute victim. I was completely on his side. He's banning people who were like his best friends like a week and a half ago, right? They were his best friends. And now they are like banned from his community. He's holding off banning some of them, but he's banned me. He's banned his victims, Pixie and Sherry. He banned Lycan Straighterade. Who else has he banned? He's banned like people who were like very close friends of his.
Did he ban Lonerbox?
I was out first.
I mean, he probably would ban Lonerbox if Lonerbox was speaking at all.
Boy, poor guy.
Yeah, I mean, he unfollowed him, right? And I don't know who else he's banned. He's banned a bunch of like long-time DGG people as well.
I'm not dancing on a grave. I feel fucking horrible. I really do. I feel horrible for Pixie and Cherry. Listen, I'll tell you right now that people might think I'm full of shit. That guy in the video that Destiny is performing oral sex, I feel terrible for that guy if he didn't consent to this being released. I do. I don't give a shit who it is. Like, that shit's fucked up. The fact that is mortifying to think that your children someday might see that your parents might see that. And that is a serious fucking deal. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And so I don't give a shit. And I still feel bad that Destiny shit got released public, though obviously now that you find out he was giving it without other people's consent, you're like, oh, well, that changes the calculus. But my initial take on this, just like you're saying, Jstlk, was that fucking sucks for Destiny. And I'm not saying you're the worst person in the world if Destiny's called you a piece of shit and came at you, and now all of a sudden you see a video of him blowing a guy and you're like, ha ha ha. Like, whatever, but it wasn't me. That's not what I was doing. I genuinely felt bad.
Yeah, I out of deference said, this person's my... When the leaks first happened, there were a whole bunch of really funny quotes about all of his fairly insane sexual proclivities, right? I held back. I made no jokes. Yeah. I held back. I was like,
I did not.
I'm friendly with. I'm not gonna make jokes.
Underage babysitter.
And I have like a humor. I have like a comedy, like drama comedy stream. Like that's the whole thing I do is I go through like drama stuff and I make jokes and I like laugh and it's a whole laughing thing. And I was like, this huge thing that's like super fucking funny that I can go and laugh at. I'm pulling back. I'm like, I'm not gonna. I'll like give him the benefit here. And like all it took was actually like was seeing like this the thing with Cherry, and I was like, oh, I gave this guy the benefit of the doubt way too many times, way too many times. It was really fucked up. So
yeah, and all I could say is I don't know if you're talking to Cherry. I hope she's doing all right. If I would say something to the victims, it would be this: as serious as this is, like. Your life will move on. People understand that this wasn't something you put out there. The real people that care about you aren't going to look at you with shame or derogatory because of this. And that, hopefully that there's some, consolation in that you can see who your true friends are and your people that come to have your back when something like this happens. So, I heard even Pixie, I believe, said in her leaks that, she was considering harming herself over this. And, I'm no expert or anyone to speak on those sorts of things. And I'm not trying to be over dramatic, but I would just say is I've never experienced something like this, like intimate photos or videos of me or audio of me being put out. And so it's hard for me to directly relate, but it is just true that life will go on and it's not worth doing something permanent or doing something to harm yourself in a way like that, people understand that this isn't something shitty. Now, I know there are people out there that are saying like, oh, well, people put themselves in bad situations. You never allow yourself to be filmed. You shouldn't be with random partners. You should understand the character of someone like Destiny. But to me, all of that is incredibly secondary. We all fuck up and make bad decisions. That's different than acting immorally. That's different than stabbing your friends in the back by violating their consent. And so no one serious blames them or thinks that they're bad people because this shit got released. And I know that's small comfort because I'm not the one who has videos of me out there that'll be on the internet forever, or audio that random people might have that you may have to deal with 30, 40 years in the future. And that's got to be terrifying to know that you might have grandkids someday that stumble upon this shit. It's a very serious situation, but I do hope that they get some sort of comfort and they get some whatever justice there is they're trying to seek. And I hope, speaking to Destiny, that like you take this shit seriously and you don't do this shit to people again, because you might think, well, I wasn't acting maliciously, but now look at the consequences, And so I don't know, all around just fucked up. And again, I'm not trying to bury people. I'm just trying to call balls and strikes. And, I'll look at those Dan comments and I'll see what I make of them. But, I'm still willing to hear more from Erudite. I've talked to Pisco. I think it would behoove Pisco to make another statement just clarifying, like, dude, I didn't know shit about this. I didn't. And as soon as I knew, I sort of said, that's it. That's the final straw for me, which appears to be what his argument is. I think he should make that clear.
Rob does have an impressive
Just curious, as somebody who debates as like a conservative, do you think you could ever debate Destiny again without making reference to this, like, fairly consistently? I feel like I wouldn't be able to debate somebody with something like this when I'd say, like, I feel like I'd have to, it'd be like you and Pisco with the argument where the guy pulled the fire alarm on. Yeah. It feels like that, right? Like basically, how am I supposed to take any point you have seriously as if you believe this, when I've seen how, like, literally while you're making these arguments, of like these red pill type arguments, while you're making them, you're doing these kinds of things behind the scenes. So like it feels like you would never be able to let it go. Like it's proof that you shouldn't listen to this person at all. Like everything they state, there's no words out of their mouth that you could possibly take seriously.
So the first thing I'd say is, as it stands right now, I would never debate Destiny again unless it was purely an accident. So like if Piers Morgan called me and said, hey, we want you on this panel, will you debate? And I said, yeah, and then Destiny's there, I wouldn't walk off the stage. In that world, I would bring this up. The only chance that I would ever debate Destiny again is if I think that he's apologetic and that he's moved on and he's tried to make amends. And then I would probably want to talk to him behind the scenes before I talk to him publicly in a debate. If I was satisfied with what was said behind the scenes, I probably wouldn't bring this situation up in the debate unless it was relevant to the topic at hand. So if he would start at that point, if he crosses a barrier that I think shows that he's had some remorse and some contrition and enough times passed where it seems like he's been acting in a way that is antithetical to those terrible impulses, and I was willing to accept it, I wouldn't keep throwing it in his face unless all of a sudden the debate topic's like him yelling about red pill shit, and I'm like, dude, who are you? Who are you to start yelling about? Then I would bring it up in that case. But no, if we're just talking about like tax cuts and I think that he's had enough contrition, no, I wouldn't throw this in his face.
Okay. All right.
So,
yeah, that sounds about right.
Well,
I'm just take a deep breath, Rob, because I need like some. I need evidence.
Sometimes
that you
I do want to
breathe.
cut in, and yeah, it's like
I'm just.
It's very interesting.
It's my policy debate background. I don't know if you guys know about policy debate in college, but everyone talks like auctioneers. So like it would be something like this. Like
it's not even how fast you're talking. I can listen to how fast you're talking. It's more the like you seem to do the thing that singers do, where they can breathe
circular
like while they're still producing.
Breathing.
Yeah,
that's what you do. That's what you do when you learn to talk. It's not like you said.
Like
it's not
just
a speed thing.
Player.
So it would be something like though there are deep breaths in it. So it'd be something like this. I just think the most appalling thing about Destiny is how he wants to go out there talk about entertaining to everything and how he gets this red pill arc and he doesn't care about all these things that come about women. But the reality is he treats them like garbage and he's done this for years and years and years and no one ever holds him accountable. Like that's sort of how debate goes. That's actually slow for it. So you learn to talk rapidly and it's screwed me up for life. If you guys think it's bad, you should hear me talking to my wife. She'll be like, shut the fuck up for a minute. I'm trying to say something. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But hey, I do appreciate you letting me come on. I will say one last thing specifically to you, Jstlk. I know that you had commented on a post I made on X where I said, my question is the people that knew privately and stuck with Destiny and now know publicly and are not sticking with them. And I do appreciate the answer you gave. I don't think that I'm talking specifically about you in that scenario because I was talking more about people that were in a business relationship with Destiny. I don't know how many.
Yeah, sure.
How many videos did you do with Destiny post you knowing? Pixie's story.
Well, there's like a couple different things. I want to say probably at least 2, but it's more that I have this like open format, right, where people can drop in. Oh, post knowing. I'm not sure if it was more than 2.
Okay.
But like basically people can just drop in, right?
Like the Merc.
There's the Merc thing.
That was, yeah.
And then I can't remember if he's on between the Sunday thing and the Merc thing. The Sunday thing was before, and then the Merc thing was after. But I'm not sure if there was another one other than the Merc thing. I wouldn't be shocked. But
your explanation is what changed was the Cherry allegations.
That changed things going backwards for me. And then generally, like, I knew about the Pixie thing, but I wasn't like, oh, he can't come on. I was talking about it for quite a while before the Cherry thing came out. I was just saying Destiny shared non-consensual sexual imagery, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm confident in that. I can say that. I can agree with that statement broadly, right? But I wouldn't say names. My policy was, we can talk about it. You can come on and we can talk about it. But I will not talk about, like, I even watched some of Melina's things saying that, like, she didn't give consent for these things to be released. Like, I covered a lot of that stuff. I just wouldn't allow the name, like, Pixie, essentially, to be used because I felt that was inappropriate, knowing that she didn't want to talk about it.
You screamed at me for saying Orbiter A, just for
Yeah, Kelly knocked it down to, like, Orbiters, and I was like, it's inappropriate.
And then gave me shit for hours.
Well, I kicked you out for, like, 5 minutes. What are you talking about? I kicked you out for, like, 5 minutes.
You were so mad at me after the stream.
Would you have brought him on to talk about unrelated stuff if he didn't first answer for this? So once you started publicly saying, look, Destiny shared shit that was unconsensual, I'm not going to use any names, and Destiny's welcome to come on and we could discuss this. If he was like, I can discuss that, but I'll come on and I'll talk about Trump, or I'll come on and I'll talk about Hassan.
I don't think so. But to be honest, for a lot of December, I had some fairly personal shit going on that I was streaming, but like I don't really remember what was going on, and I don't think I was like super. I probably like this had kind of been put out of my mind fairly significantly. Yeah, so I don't know if I would have. I know he came on because Merc was basically, there's another person who ended up sort of accusing him of something kind of along these lines, and he came on to like yell at them basically.
Okay.
Yeah, he had like it was weird. I didn't know that they were doing these negotiations behind the scenes. So he jumped on. We were talking about it with her, and I was basically like, okay, do you think this happened, that happened? And then he came on and he just started like screaming at her. He kind of like lost it. He was like very unhinged, but I'm guessing it was because a lot of this stuff was going on behind the scenes.
Sure. Yeah, I just wanted, because again, that's where I was coming from with that post, which is, okay, there are going to be people that are just like, ride or die, man. I'll stick with this guy no matter what. But the people that before, when they knew about it in private, and were like, yeah, I'll keep working with this guy, and then it came public, people can't help but think that it's like, hey, is what changed that now you're getting bad press? Now you got people wagging their finger at you going, why didn't you do anything? And you're like, oh, now I will. Yep. And so that's I think that those are the sorts of questions that people should answer that we're working with Destiny. It's like, what changed? And, that's it. And I'm not, again, I'm not trying to bury you. I'm not trying to bury Beyond Wu. I'm not a big fan of hers.
I was talking about this with my stream before you said anything. Like, that's literally that. Like, when this all happened, I was like, okay, we need to reevaluate everything. We need to go back, and I'll explain my thought process, and people can just judge me appropriately. I'll just say like what I thought, and then whatever I don't need to say I was in the right, because I think like you can't have something happen like this with somebody that you're close to, that you like feel you have some sense of trust of, or that you've been like literally, if it was just a coworker, I would still feel like I fucked up somehow. If I didn't notice my coworker's a serial killer after working for them with them for 10 years, I feel like I missed something, right? So yeah. I don't understand why a lot of people have come out and they're like, they won't admit any wrongdoing at all. And I'm like, this is very strange to me. Like, yeah, it just seems odd.
Yeah, weird. I had a horrible read on this guy. I'm willing to put my hands up and admit it. Like, I hung out with him plenty of times in person. Didn't get this kind of a read off of him. So, yeah, I was wrong.
But obviously that's different, not getting a read. But you both know that. You see what I'm saying. But, yeah, well, thank you for bringing me on to talk about it. And thanks for sort of, even before you brought me on, answering that. Because I think a lot of the general perception was, Rob's just being hostile, and I didn't see anyone, I would have been more than happy to say nothing on X to that degree if other people were asking those questions, but everyone I saw commenting, it's like, no one's asking those sort of specific questions. Like, no one asked Erudite, like, did you ask Destiny about the other people in the leaks? If there was consent? Like, no one's asked that, and it's like...
Well, Turkey Tom, and Fairy Queen both asked Erudite, and she basically evaded. Like, okay. I don't recall a solid answer on the Melina thing or the other people. She evaded by saying, I didn't know about that. And I just think that's like
that can't be true.
I don't believe you get involved. You hear about the Pixie thing, and then you never hear about Melina making statements about this. You never hear about like it baffles because a couple people have pulled this where they're like, "Well, I knew about the Pixie thing, but I didn't know about anything else." And it's like, you heard about the Pixie thing, and you heard it was in this big leak, and you saw the pictures of Destiny, like sucking dick on Twitter. You didn't think like, oh, maybe there might be another video. Maybe I should like ask someone about this.
Well, not only that, it doesn't even matter if there's another video. There's another person, the guy who's dick he's sucking. Did that guy give consent? That's what I'm saying. We all know
that guy's. I mean, he definitely consented for the filming.
Yes, but as did Pixie. That doesn't mean that he consented to having it. My guess would be, if I'm just guessing, it is not beyond the realm of possibility that this is wrong, but my guess would be Destiny didn't call up all the people he had sex with and filmed it and say, hey, is it cool if I give this to this 19-year-old girl? I bet he didn't do that. He didn't. Somebody
get me the phone in the pocket logs as well, because I want to ask Rob about this.
Yeah,
there are two different logs of him basically saying that, hey, to this 19-year-old Discord girl, he says, hey, check this out. The audio's a little scuffed, but because my phone was in my pocket. Can you what do you think?
Right.
Or like blah 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 blah. She's just saying whatever. Here we go. Hold on. Boop boop boop. Yeah, this is just the end with him finishing. Weird. Again, audio scuffed because my phone is in my pocket. So the question we keep asking people and we keep not getting an answer to is, why was his phone in his pocket?
Right.
Why would you have your phone in your pocket to record a sexual encounter?
Right. If it was, first off, if you're recording audio, why not video as well? But for whatever reason, if that's just your thing, surely there's a better place to put that phone to record it if it's consensual amongst both parties than your pocket. That seems odd. The most obvious answer to why would it be in your pocket was because I didn't want the other person to know I'm recording it. I'm not saying that that's definitive, but that's the most obvious answer. Similarly, I'm not saying it's definitive that maybe those other people did, the multiple other people in the videos that were publicly released, like the guy who was getting oral sex from Destiny. Maybe he did say, sure. Destiny called me and I said, yeah, give that to that 19-year-old girl. But logic tells you that's probably not the case. So if you're someone that's talking to Destiny about this and you're like, okay, I'm trying to see if he's remorseful, the very first thing I would ask is, did this happen with anyone else? What about the other people that were in those vids that were released? Did they give you consent? And so if Erudite, if that was asked by Tom and Erudite said, I was unaware of any other people, even if I could believe she wasn't aware of, Destiny's ex-wife, how was she not aware that there was at least this guy and these other people that were in the same set of videos?
She is aware of the guy because obviously she tweeted jokes about it being Nick Fuentes.
There you go. So then did she ever ask Destiny, hey, did that guy give consent? She didn't have to ask who is that guy. That's private, whatever. But I would say if you're truly remorseful, and that's, to me, I think I read this. One of the things Pixie says that's so egregious is that, like, Destiny never reached out to her and said, hey, oh shit, by the way, get ready for this. It's coming because I'm aware that.
Yeah, of course he didn't.
It was. You might not actually know this detail because it's from me. So I was aware of the Lauren Southern leaks when they were happening, and obviously he was aware of the Lauren Southern leaks. And I believe there was a lot of people. There were even I think YouTube videos going over the logs and showing the account. So he knew that he'd sent this account, Pixie's blowjob video, the him sucking the guy's dick. He knew he'd sent all of those videos to that account. And Pixie found out 9 days later when these videos were dropped by the person who compromised the account.
Yep.
Yeah,
so when he knew the account was compromised, he didn't feel the need to go and speak to any of these people who had their safety and their privacy compromised.
That's right.
Do you know if Destiny was trying to convince the solo person not to leak that stuff? Because they had been in contact, yeah?
There was some stuff that went on there.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
I haven't heard anything. But yeah, I mean, that to me would suggest, and again, I'm just going with the most likely scenario. I'm not making any definitive statement, but that would suggest to me if once he knew these were compromised, he didn't reach out to the people, he probably never told them he gave these videos to this girl in the first place. And that would mean that they too are victims of Destiny having given videos of them doing intimate acts without their consent. And if I want to know if this guy's really remorseful, he's going to be reaching out to everyone. I'm sorry, I did this to you. I'm sorry. I want to make amends. Right? Like that, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you're still covering up, what that shows is I'm only sorry if I get caught. That's what it shows, right? Else you would be fully honest with everyone that you victimized. That's how
I don't even know if he's talked to Melina yet, so...
Yeah, so... But anyways, I do have to run here this evening. I do appreciate both of you having me come
thanks for coming on.
I would enjoy talking to you about happier things in the future at some point, so hopefully we get a chance to.
It can't get worse than this.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, God, I shouldn't have said
please,
that.
if you do talk to Cherry, please let her know that me and a lot of other people feel terrible about what happened. If there's anything they could do, just let us know. So,
yeah, for sure. I mean, I would just say probably anybody who is interested in sending messages of affirmation, literally just going to like the replies, messaging Cherry directly. I understand you probably think that Cherry's getting inundated. I don't think there's a world where she's getting too many messages of affirmation. And I think there is probably a world where she doesn't get enough and she's worried that people just don't believe her. So right. I'd say if you have positive messages of affirmation, that sending Cherry a message on Twitter or even just going to her replies and saying like, hey, we support you, that would be good. Okay. I understand that there's a big thing where people are like, hey, I know something really bad, stressful has happened. I don't want to send them a message directly. All of those people who've sent messages to me who say that, they're like, hey, I just want to check in because I know you've talked to Cherry. You can just tell Cherry like, hey, we support you. We love you. Know that we're here with you.
True.
Like anything like that, you could go send that directly to Cherry, and I know she'd really appreciate it.
All right, Jstlk, let the man go.
And I just
tried to leave like 3 times.
One more thing I'll say. I feel the same way about Pixie, but I don't know if you personally know her. So that's the only reason I said Cherry and not Pixie. It's not that I feel differently.
Yeah,
about
I
Pixie.
could pass it on.
Yeah. So I thank you both, and I hope you all have a great night. So we'll talk soon.
Good
right,
night.
we'll see.
Yeah.
Good night.
See ya. Boop boop.
And Kelly does all the. Okay. Kelly does what?
All right. Yeah, I mean, I did want to ask Jstlk about when exactly he knew about those sorts of things. You know, I will say about Cherry, I do feel bad assuming she's telling the truth. With the Cherry story, there's room for... she might not be telling the truth, I guess. I have no reason to distrust her, given what we see with what we already know about Destiny involving these particular leaks. It seems likely that it's true. So it's difficult to just... I don't want to be one of those people that's just like, anytime there's an accusation, 100% it has to be true. Or, you know, based on how I'm friends with Cherry, I'm not really friends with Cherry, don't get it wrong, but I like her more than Destiny or something like that, then I'm going to believe her over him. You know, there's always room for maybe what she's saying didn't occur. I tried my best to get as much information as I could about that. I threw out other hypotheticals. Could it be that it's not Cherry on that audio? Could it be that it's AI? I tried my best to get to the bottom of those details as much as possible. But assuming it is her, I feel terrible. That's no joke. Getting recorded doing a sex act without your own consent and then having that released to someone else. That's no joke at all, and I mean that. You know, and I feel bad for Pixie as well, who all but it's been admitted that her allegations have been confirmed. So, anyways, that's it. I wasn't going to come on and do this video tonight. I do appreciate Jstlk leaving me on. You know, the other thing I'll say, and I don't know, maybe I know Destiny's apparently been watching some of Jstlk stuff. He's probably not watching my shit. What's your IP says, I'm not that slow to send you. You could willfully send your own nudes, you know. But, you know, I'm not saying that this is the end of the line for Destiny as far as this is completely irredeemable. I'm not. But the statements he's making since then are not doing himself any favors. And as it stands right now, unless there was significant change, I don't want to interact with the guy. I don't. I haven't watched the Piers Morgan debate yet. Hopefully I'll be able to watch that tomorrow or the next day. So, you know, I understand the impulse to defend yourself, particularly if you feel some of the accusations are untrue, or you feel that there's people like, you know, Mr. Girl or something that's got an axe to grind with you, and so they're spreading this just to hurt you, not because they actually care about the situation. If that's how you feel, I understand it's going to piss you off. Maybe that's how he would feel about me. But you have to look within yourself and say, I fucked up and I need to make changes. And it's not enough to say, well, that's because I wasn't on Vyvanse yet. Like, do I think he'll get a charge? A criminal charge, probably not, though I haven't read the statutes. A civil charge, maybe. Progressive victory is the enabler. The other thing I'll say is, until I hear to the contrary, on the specific person of Pisco, I don't think he did any wrong. I have a bias that I kind of like Pisco, but that's how I feel. I feel that he's claiming that he did not know about this situation. And if people say, well, didn't he know about Melina and didn't he know about all these past stuff? I didn't know about it. Maybe Pisco's just a weird policy debate fucker that's not really interested in the drama. And he's just like, whatever. People talk shit all the time. Whatever. I'm not going to dig into this guy's marriage and the back and forth. That's what I'm operating under, though still being open to hear new evidence. And so, if Pisco called me next week and said, hey, Rob, you want to debate on Trump's executive orders? I'd probably do it. I wouldn't. If Destiny called me and asked that, I'd say no. So, that's... all I could do is be honest. I thought Connor and Brianna's statement sucked, but I'm not willing to totally throw them under the bus. And Erudite, I still have more questions, but I'm open to explanations. So, that's it. Yeah, I told Pisco, how many times have people in my community heard me tell Pisco, like, listen, man, don't act like Destiny. You're actually a better debater than him in many senses. And like Pisco, when he's around Destiny, he'll get in this mode where he's like acting like Destiny, just being like super fucking crazy. And Pisco on X fucking sucks. He's like hyper aggressive, and it just comes off as so shitty. Whereas I feel like if he would just be more of his normal self when it's just me and him talking, he's still a competent debater. He's still aggressive in arguing. But like you watch him on X and he'll be like, hey, Dave Portnoy, do you want to talk about something? And Dave might respond to him, and then Pisco all of a sudden's like, you cowardly fuck, you piece of shit. And it's like, you're not going to get anywhere with that. What are you doing, man? I tell him that all the time. So I think Pisco's a annoying, partisan beyond belief, political hack. But he's a political hack. He's a political nerd like me. He's not really delving in. Just like when people say, oh, Rob, did you look into Andrew Wilson's past? No, I didn't. There, end of story. That's right how he was with Destiny. Sure, you hear rumors, but rumors are rumors. I hear rumors. Maybe he was confronted by people that told him to warn him about Destiny and he ignored them. And maybe there's culpability there. But that's different than actually knowing and believing the allegations and still saying, I don't give a shit. So, but that's my honest goodness feelings as things stand now. Okay. You probably won't hear from me until Sunday or Monday. That will be YouTube exclusive because I won't be home. I go into work tomorrow at 3 and I have to be there 24/7 until Wednesday at 2. Now, when I'm at work, I get downtime, so sometimes I can stream on my phone, but I have to be there so I don't have access to my computer. So the only thing I can stream on is YouTube via phone. So it makes it difficult because I can't, like, bring up tweets or videos or stuff like that, but I can still give my thoughts, and it will probably be a political-based stream. By the way, I have shit to talk on Pisco, so maybe we'll talk about that. Pisco's running out there talking all caps about how evil ICE is. Hey, man, you cried wolf too many times. When the Democrat argument is everything Trump does is Hitler, people are over it. And then if you have a serious complaint 7 years later, all caps, oh my God, this time it is the end of the world. You cried wolf. I don't know what to tell you. Wow, you're typing in all caps about ICE raids the same way you were typing in all caps about a Tony Hinchcliffe joke about Puerto Rico. Sorry, dude, over it. Don't know what to tell you. So, all right, thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. I'm going to go down. I hear my man's still up, so I'm going to hang out with my son. He should be in bed, but I'm going to hang out with him, see what's up. Probably get in trouble by mom by staying up too late with him. I'm going to enjoy my family for the rest of the evening, and then, regrettably, I have to take spring cleaning garbage out tomorrow. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you all. As always, have a good one.